friends, I'm popping in today to talk about the difference between an adrenal crisis and low cortisol. Something that an individual reached out asking, and I thought would be easier to answer via a video. As far as adrenal insufficiency goes, most of us know everything is unique for the individual. We have different symptoms, different tells, and different treatments. So I can share my personal experience and then some of the standard signs and symptoms. So low cortisol, by fact, is when we are low on cortisol, the replacement that we take in our medication. You can go low cortisol from anything, from physical activity, mental stress, emotional stress, trauma, procedure, an event of any kind. Honestly, sometimes I'm impacted by allergies or temperatures. So really anything can impact low cortisol. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to read our cortisol yet. So we are kind of blindly guessing and feeling when we need more. My cat has a lot to say about it. For an adrenal crisis, that is when we are completely out, our body's shot, and we are in jeopardy and we need an emergency injection ASAP. When you have an adrenal crisis, the tell symptoms, number one is that you're vomiting, have diarrhea, you're unable to take oral medication. So that emergency injection is necessary because there's no other way for your body to intake cortisol at that time. And you need cortisol if you're going through a physical trauma, mental trauma, and you can't keep your medication in. Some of the basic symptoms as well are the low back pain, fatigue in general, and the general feeling of your body shutting down. Low cortisol is like not every low cortisol situation is going to end in a crisis, but if you do not treat your low cortisol and it gets too far gone, then that is when a situation goes from low cortisol to adrenal crisis. Low cortisol symptoms for me are brain fog, headache, low back pain, dizziness, nausea starts to set in. I personally have difficulty breathing, articulating. It's heavy. My face is heavy. It's very hard for me to open my eyes to even talk, to form sentences. And I get really manic and overwhelmed. I also have a weird thing where I get trigger finger on my left hand where my pinky and my ring finger start to click. If it's really, really low cortisol, my right one will as well. But if my left one starts to click, I know for me, I am low cortisol. I need to take a stress dose in order to avoid heading into an adrenal crisis. If at any point during a physical, mental, or emotional stress, when you are low cortisol, you go into full-blown adrenal crisis and you are vomiting, you are unconscious, you do have diarrhea, you can't get medication in, an administration of an emergency injection is necessary because otherwise you will be too far gone. So again, it's different for each person. I'd love to hear the other signs and symptoms that you have between low cortisol and an adrenal crisis. And there's just a general feeling for me of shutting down. It feels like, I'm going to say, if you were around with old school computers, when you would unplug it, the whole screen would go, but it was this general slow glow shutdown, or old TVs did that. It feels like that. It feels like a slow shutdown of the body. I feel so heavy. It's hard to walk. It's hard to move. All my joints, everything hurts. But again, that could be part of my experience or be contributed by other medical conditions that I have. There's no one size fits all. So that's my personal experience. If I'm feeling any of those key things, headaches, dizziness, nausea, clickiness, general fatigue, or inability to function or articulate, I will stress dose. If it heads into this territory of nausea or full-blown vomiting, or diarrhea or unconsciousness, then that is when the injection needs to be administered. And that's kind of the difference, at least on the spectrum for me. But I would love to hear what those differences look like to you. As always, thanks for being here. Light and love, all the spoons, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Wow.